Hello, my absolutely beautiful astrology soulmates. It's me, Stormie Grace, and welcome to your weekly horoscope for the week of July 29th. It's our final week here in July, heading into August. And not only is it a final week, so that also has some sense of finality to it. You know, we're bringing another month and another season really to a close with everything that we learned during Cancer season. But we also have this week being a new moon week. So where there's endings, we're also seeing that beginnings are coming in place as well. We're going to also see Venus changing signs and getting into the vibration of Virgo, and we will see Mercury starting its retrograde. So it is a busy week, but it's not busy in terms of the energy being really high. It's busy in terms of the energy shifting from an ending to a beginning. Because we also have the sense as we begin this week, before we get to the new moon, we're in the balsamic phase. So we're letting things come to a close. We're not forcing anything. We're more reflective. We're more in that space until we get to the Sunday energy, where we're going to see that new moon energy actually happen at 12 degrees of Leo. So if you want to know what all of that means, and is coming up and has to do with your week, then stick tuned with me and we're going to jump into there. If we've never met before, I'm practicing professional astrologer Stormie Grace, and I practice evolutionary and humanistic astrology. So if that is the kind of information you are looking for, that's what we've got going on here, and I can't wait to share it with you. Now, before we jump in, friends, there are just 5 spaces left in my YouTube 5-day breakthrough challenge class. I would love to see you in it. We start August 3rd, and I'm telling you, the way that I work, I got a Capricorn South node, okay, Cancer North node. I'm doing my best. The way that I treat YouTube and the way that I teach YouTube is, first of all, I show you tried and true strategies that I have used to not only make content that is valuable and makes an impact and is able to give you guys what you need and guide you along the way, but also YouTube is just a piece of my business plan. So I treat YouTube like a business resource. And I'm sharing this with you from this perspective because, one, if you have a business, or you're a creative entrepreneur, you do astrology, song bowls, you raise cucumbers on the weekends, whatever your jam is, right? Whatever you do, if you're not using YouTube and your company is not making the kind of money that you would like it to be, it's not profitable, this is leaving money on the table. This is leaving your ability to share your impact, to share your medicine on the table. If you as an individual have said to yourself, even once in the last 2 months, I would really like a little bit more income, I would really like to be living more in my own creativity or share what it is I know, you're leaving a resource on the table. So for whatever reason, if you haven't started, whether you have a channel idea, you don't exactly have a channel idea, but you'd like to know what to do and how to do it, that's what my YouTube class teaches. And I've been wildly successful with it. You do not have to have a big channel to be successful, because I'm going to show you how to build it into something's profitable, whether you have a big channel, small channel, whatever. So if that's you, if you have said in this last couple months, I would like to have more income in my life, but I don't have time for another job and this, that, and the third, this is the class for you. 5 spaces left. I would love to see you in there so that you can share your magic and your medicine with people who are waiting to hear what you have to say, okay? All right, it's in the description box down below. Get signed up. Okay, into the week we go. So first and foremost, as we're coming in here on the 29th, we're coming in with the moon, which governs our moon day, in the vibration of Taurus. So we're still in these creature comforts. You know, we're coming into the week on a fixed energy. So it's a bit more steady. It's a bit more sturdy. Like I said, it's reflective, but you're really grounded in, what do I need to do in order to root to rise? And also, what do I need to do emotionally for myself to make sure that I am well fed, I'm feeling beautiful, the best beautiful I can be, and to be attracting to me this entire week what it is that I would like to experience for long-term, steady, sturdy, persistent, enduring growth in my emotional life. Now, the moon also governs the people around us. So the people outside of us are also on this vibe as well. So besides running into people being a little bit stubborn on Monday, it's actually a pretty good day for most of the day. Now, we're going to get into the early afternoon time frame. So this is going to be 2:59 to 3:57 p.m. and this is Mountain Standard Time. Mountain Standard Time, Mountain Time, so Colorado time. So make sure you adjust your clocks because that's when we're going to have our void of course moon time. So during the void of course time, remember the universe is kind and loving. It provides a pause. Take that time to rest. Put down what you've been working on. Just let things rest for a minute. It's not the time to be starting something new. If you are finishing up something that needs to get done, that's a beautiful energy for that. But also, if you can just turn your attention for just this void of course moon time, it's an opportunity to rest and to release. Because typically, if we're trying to work on something, especially something new or make a deal or whatever, first of all, the energy drops down and it kind of drops out. But also, what you try to start during this time, the moon gets out of the void of course position and it's like it just falls apart, just like, it just crumbles. So I wouldn't want that for any of you. So instead, take the time to rest. Now, just behind that, we'll see the moon for the next couple of days move into the energy of Gemini. Okay, so now we're moving our moon into an air vibration. So what we're feeling, we want to talk about, right? We need to talk out our feelings at this particular time. If you have a moon in Gemini, you're in the vicinity, you're in the zip code of having your lunar return this month. So I would highly encourage you to check out what are your lunar return themes for the month. And if you don't know what that is, I'll put my lunar return video at the end of this video so that you can understand what that is, because it's really illuminating. I mean, it's a nice map to show you what's coming to your attention, what emotional themes are going to be right at your doorstep for you to handle. And the other reason I think it's really nice, you guys, to understand how to work with these, besides just understanding the astrology, is bringing it to practicality. If you've got a lot going on or you've been sorting out a fair amount of things, you feel like you're going in multiple directions, sometimes looking at your lunar return report you can say, okay, for the next 30 days, I'm going to pull my attention to this thing. And in Gemini, it's about getting clear communication about new ideas, getting your focus into something. So where do you have the opportunity to pull your focus if this is where you need to kind of shut out the rest of the distractions and just work on and focus on one thing at a time? Now, for the rest of us, as the moon is traveling through Gemini over this next couple of days, the other thing to think about in terms of the body is to pay attention to what's going on with your digestion. Are you eating something? Are you smelling something and it's upsetting your stomach or something like that? Do a little bit of investigating on that, because that may also be the beautiful Gemini moon trying to bring your attention to something that's going on that is an irritant into your space, okay? Now, when we get to Tuesday, not an entirely busy day, but we see Venus in a trine to Chiron that's over in Aries. I love this. So Venus is in these last moments over here in Leo before it's going to jump into Virgo. And here we have a fire trine. Okay, so there's a lot of energy that's already impacted into here. Chiron is in its retrograde, so you're looking back at something about your identity. You're looking back at how these last months you have not actually been traveling from just a wound that you were seeing yourself from, but instead you're seeing yourself with new eyes. Maybe you're even seeing that wound as now you're able to be a teacher. So with the trine with Venus, Venus is calling and it's pulling to us. It's calling and attracting to us. Venus attracts and doesn't chase. So what we have the opportunity to do here is, first of all, let things come to us. Let the healing come to us. Let the people who are your new students and teachers just come to you, because it can also be a self-worth and a value reset, a reset to the self of knowing thine own self. And when you're clearer on that vibration, Venus goes, okay, cool. Well, I'll pull in a relationship that is demonstrating that you're healed, that you're not pulling in the same kind of relationships that you were, right? Because you're not looking through the wound so much anymore. Oh, Venus pleasure. And in Leo, you want a little pleasure. How about some delicious food? How about a massage? How about some yoga? How about some dancing? Were you afraid to dance? Somebody said to me in a client session, and I loved it. They said, there was a time in my life I would have never danced sober. And I've been sober for a while and I dance all the time now. And I thought, wow, that's like, what a return to the self, what a return to play, a return to love and a healing of that wound. So what is that in your story that you're like, I would never, and now you're nevering like you never have before, okay? Now we did see this aspect January 11th. So flashback, what were you taking on that was a little bit more heart opening? It was maybe even a spiritual awakening or something that was just more pleasurable. We'll see it again when we get to November 3rd. So definitely make sure that you take note and stay curious about what themes around your identity are presenting themselves, okay? All right, when we get to Wednesday, the sun is in a trine to the north node and a sextile to that south node. Now, the sun is bringing light, heat, life, and vitality, and we're particularly motivated where the sun is at. So you want to do this. You want to work on it. With a trine to the north node, there's an ease, there's an opportunity that is presenting itself on this day for you to, first of all, be in connection with like your guides or the people who are even coming in human form that are your guides. You need to be meeting them at this point in the journey, and they help you. They're like soulmates. They help you expand the soul. They help you go bigger, more deeply in the direction of your destiny around your identity. Now, one of the things I want to point out to you is absolutely it can be a physical person that shows up. But in my own experience with this, I walked into a room and my grandmother was there and she'd been dead for years, right? So it's not about being so woo-woo and all of this, but it is sometimes a representative or some kind of representation from your ancestors, from your family line, from a generational line shows up. Maybe you're in some kind of healing meditation. Have you taken my Venus Reset program to get that sacred bowl cleaned out? Several people told me going through that program that they felt like a tribe of sacred women showed up and were helping to hold and heal that bowl and heal that womb space. So what is it for you on this day where there's just, it's an opportunity, but you have to go to it? That's the trine. The trine says, yep, we've provided a resource, but go to it. Now, the sextile to the south node, I really like this because it makes it easy for you to see why you're not going to do something the way that you did it before, right? It's going to make it easy for you to say, yep, nope, I don't want to relate in that same way anymore. Instead, Aries, North Node, I'm choosing to go in this direction. But I think it also shows you the benefit of partnership, where it's time and you need, and maybe your spirit or your spiritual fuel tank needs to meet the next guides on the journey so that you have some courage, some inspiration, some wow to continue to move forward. So I think it's going to be a really good day to share this energy. And now we're going to see this again when we get to November 26th. Okay, I'm just saying this too. It is a good day if you needed to. It's a great day to get therapy or astrology or some kind of connection to a guide or a spiritual teacher that can also be like they serve as that guide on the path, okay? So that's going to be a beautiful day to do that. Now, as we continue on through the day, we've still got the moon traveling through that Gemini vibration until we get to later in the evening. Now, when we get to 8:46 p.m., going all the way to 9:18 p.m., again, Mountain Time, Colorado time, the moon steps back into void, of course. So this is our opportunity to rest, remembering that this energy is like it just falls out. There's no real deep connection, and we need that. We have to practice the being. We are still moving through this balsamic phase of the lunar time before we get to this new moon. So we are letting things percolate. We are grieving and having gratitude about things that are no longer going to be with us moving forward. And sometimes when we're in the balsamic phase, we find our lives cutting ties with old contracts that we have. Oftentimes in the progressed lunar phases, especially last quarter in balsamic, I'll see clients' lives where we end contracts with family members, with dogs, with really important people that have been in our life. And it's a mix of grief and gratitude, right? This is just in a monthly way where we have this space of grief and gratitude, grieving because a piece of us will leave, a piece of the story, cellularly, things are leaving for us right now. But the gratitude for what did you build over the last 30 days? If this is your progressed time, what have you built over the last 30 years? So it really is a time to meet yourself, meet your guides in the quiet surrender of getting ready to be born anew into your next beautiful phase, okay? All right, then we're going to see the moon move into Cancer. And this is a little bit later because it's going to be at that 9:18 p.m. again, Mountain Colorado time. And, the moon comes into Cancer. It's at home. It's in domicile. You're like, I want to be at the house. I just want to go home. I love that energy. You're like, just let me go home. Let me be at my house. Let me have some good snacks at my house and be in peace. Or maybe you're being with family. This kind of call for this family-centered nurturing. And family is not always the family you were born into, but, it's a space for some people. You may be asking, have I created or called to me a family of my choosing where I can get nurtured, where I can feel safe, I can feel secured, I can let my inner child be itself. If you're in some kind of relationship, is your inner child work able to express itself in a place of safety? Now, for some of you as well, the moon in Cancer can be, I need to go and have alone time. I just need to recharge and I need to go be by myself in my little crab shell and do the thing. And that may be a more introverted version of yourself. And you got to get in there and do the self-care and all of these kinds of things. So no matter how it is that this is expressing itself for you, this idea of coming back home, coming back to a place where you mother, where you parent yourself, where you're bonding in your home space in some way is definitely the sentiment over this next couple days, okay? All right, on Thursday, we've got Mars in a sextile to the North Node and thus a trine to the South Node. So as Mars now, the planet of action, and I'm whipping, zipping, and Mars has been liberated, and I mean that lovingly, Taurus friends, but Mars has been liberated from being in Taurus where it was like, Taurus, like, are we doing this or what? And Taurus is like, yeah, we are, just like real slow though, Mars has been liberated and is in Gemini. So now at least it's able to go and it's moving, it's doing all of these things. So we're in a lot of action. We're making a lot of decisions. There's a lot of conversation. There's networking. There's information coming at a mile of a minute, okay? But Mars in this sextile to the North Node, it's a pocket of opportunity, but we intelligently take action on it. So this is an action day. This is an action day, and we're going to see this again in just a few days. We're going to see this again when we get down the road when Mars is like, oh, okay, I'm just separating, but I'm going to give you a little bit of a blast back to this North Node to make sure you did what we talked about. So what are we talking about? Opportunity. Opportunity that you're not only going to, but you kind of don't have to think about it. It's a day where it presents itself and you, Mars, trust your instinct and move towards it. One door is closing, another door is opening. And I think if you trust your instincts here, you're not going to get it wrong. Thursday is a day. It's a day of action. Mars stimulates action. It stimulates a change of direction. Mars is in a sextile to the North Node that is in Aries, the sign that it rules. This is a very comfortable conversation, but it is about where will you initiate? Where will you warrior forward? What sacred garden will you plant? Now get through the door, launch that project, do that thing, sign up for the YouTube class, and let's move forward. Now that trine to the South Node energy, I think here with Mars in connection to that South Node, the conversation is like, what feels like it's low vibe in your life that is making it convincing enough for you to want to take this action and move forward. Also, having some gratitude for where your actions are different now than they were a year. Because when we haven't changed, we're taking all of the same actions, right? And we're like, I can't believe this. How could I possibly still be doing this? And usually we find out it's a pattern, right? Present company included. But when we get our vibration changed, when we have a little bit of maturity, when we align in a different way, then these behaviors that were don't seem to make so much sense anymore. So have some gratitude for however you've progressed, however big or small that movement is, because progress has been there and you'll know it because you're taking different action. This isn't about how you feel. It's about you're actually taking different action to move towards some sort of solution, okay? All right, now Friday's a little bit of a bigger energetic day because we're going to see that Venus comes into a square with Uranus. Now this is going to be earlier in the day, so 7:20 a.m. Mountain Colorado time. Venus and Uranus are going to square. So a square is first of all considered a hard angle. I see it as the 911 of our aspects, which is saying you need to do something. You have to do something to get out from underneath this square, right? You've got to do something. So we've got Venus over in Leo and it's squaring Uranus that's over in Taurus. So this is a fixed square, which is telling us that first of all, something that you're having to finally do something about, like the pain point has risen to your attention, is something that's been here for a while. It's been fixed. You do know what it is. So let's see the components involved. This is Venus and Uranus. Venus, first of all, love, money, relationships, the things that we value, how we harmonize with people in our own space. Venus, I think we give Venus this credit for just being like, oh, it's all so good, like very like light. It's very light. But Venus will call a fight to her and then put it to rest with so much love. It's like, bring that fight to me because I've got enough love to love it back to the state of harmony. And I know I tell you guys about Moana all the time. I know. It's probably because I need to see Inside Out too, okay? But Moana, that moment when Moana is standing in front of Te Kā, she's in this fiery lava state. And if you think about what happened before Te Kā gets to her, Moana takes the heart, right? And she holds it up in the air and she calls Te Kā to her. And Te Kā comes rushing to her, and they get face to face with that fire. And Moana puts her hand here and she says, you know who you are. Ooh, I'm getting emotional. That is a Venus energy calling the fight to it. So where for you, even as I'm saying it, can you say, yeah, my heart is ready to call this thing to me and transform it into something else. My relationship with pleasure, my relationship with creativity, I'm willing to call it to me and transform it into something else. Now, it is square to Uranus, who Uranus is about change, but it's changing the way that Taurus, a Venus-ruled energy, has been expressing itself. So the way you've thought about money, the way you've thought about love and romance and relationships, the way you've thought about your value, to include the value of your skills, your message, your medicine, problems that you've had, your guilt, your shame, these things that can be buried very much so in the earth, your past, mistakes that you've made. Right? Now, as these two are in a square to each other, first of all, it can be unpredictable. It can be. How is this going to spin out? Well, just days before, Mars was active and working and showing you, literally showing you how you take different actions now based on being a different person than you were before. So while it may be unpredictable, it's kind of like you're ready. You're ready to step outside of that comfort zone and engage whatever comes to your surface. Engage the tension that is there, that is present, and you're not taking the same approach anymore. I'm like, it hasn't even happened, and I'm proud to celebrate who you're going to be in these moments as they present themselves. And I hope that you consciously make note of how you participate in these energies, because we have to look back and see where we have grown as well. Okay? Now, That's the deep stuff. On a maybe potentially kind of shallow level, Venus and Uranus, especially in the square, you can have an infatuation come in. You're like, yes, like, whoa, okay, thank you very much. And it can be like, it kind of feels like a curveball came at you where you're like, whoa, I did not expect that at all. Or that is something very, very different than I have like ever experienced in my life. Now, go back to March 3rd of 2024. We had this aspect. What was going on for you at that time? What came to you that was maybe unpredictable, or you were taking a different approach to something? Where are you taking a different approach to it now than you even were March 3rd, right? This is going to be a great time to see that. Now, I do like this aspect. I'll say it. I like this aspect in synastry, actually. It's not everybody's favorite, but I like this aspect in synastry because it means that you're not going to get bored. You're going to probably pull somebody into your life or a situation into your life that's very different from you, and you can learn a lot from it. And just a basic example is sometimes you pull somebody to you and there's a bit of an age gap for some reason. Now, whether that's romantically or in a teacher whatever situation or a social thing, and you end up getting such a different perspective. So make room for this day for, the universe to surprise and delight you. Okay, Saturday, as we're approaching and moving towards this new moon, towards Venus changing signs and Mercury getting into that retrograde, we're going to see the moon go void of course here on Saturday at 4:31 a.m. Mountain Time, and it'll stay that way until 5:09. So it's not very long, but it's enough. If you're one of our special workers who is up and working at this particular time, rest. Have a rest. Not the time for the deep conversations, the meetings, any of that kind of stuff. Just allow yourself to have a rest. And what happens for you? I think this is a great evaluation. What happens for you when you practice rest and ease? Does your body have an emotional response to that? Or are you like, I can't, I got to pick up my phone. I can't, I got to do this, right? Like, what happens to your body and your mind? Listen to that, because it may be giving you an indicator of something that needs a little bit of attention, okay? Now let's roll ourselves over here into Sunday. We're early in the morning, 5 a.m. Colorado time, 5:12 a.m. to be exact. We're going to see the new moon happening at 12 degrees of Leo, okay? Cool. This is a nice new moon, okay? First of all, at the new moon, we're planting our seeds of intention. We're also beginning a new 2.5-year cycle of something that you're going to birth into life, and it needs time to cycle and work through you. So this particular moon is also in a really nice connection with both. Sorry, that was a little bug. It's really in a nice connection to Jupiter, but Mars is applying to a conjunction with Jupiter. So I think because this is a lunar event, and I'm typically an orb snob, we need to give a wider orb. So I do think that Mars plays into the conversation here. But this lunation being in that really nice connection to these two particular energies is a really nice omen to say, okay, hold on. There's a lot of expansion that is available here. There is courage. There is also wisdom that is available here. And even if you don't have any planets or angles at 12 degrees of Leo. Remember, we all have all 12 planets in our chart. So locate where 12 degrees of Leo is at in your particular chart. What house is it in? And then you can see how this Leo energy is saying, I want you to begin the story of expressing ourselves. Plant your seeds of intention to really be living, your big life, your self-expression, where you say it with your chest out. You're not afraid of beginning to show who you really are at this particular point in your life. And maybe you're at the beginning of a season of your life where you're like, yeah, this is who I'm going to be now. This inner child has awakened and all this stuff. Or maybe who you really are right now is someone who's in the quiet. And you're like, I need to go to ground. I'm in my winter season of life, and I need to put on my sweatpants and grab my journal and my notebook and my Barry White and just be at the house. Like, whatever it is, honoring the season of where you're honestly expressing right now. I think that the Mars and the Jupiter give this lunation a lot of courage for you to plant your seeds of intention to do that. Now, we will check in on this. This is where you plant the seeds. It's a beginning. And when we get to May 4th of 2025, we're going to hit the first quarter time. So the seeds that you planted now, the fruit will begin to bear itself. It'll take seed and start to bear itself. And then at the first quarter time, we're going to weed the garden. And anything that is not in alignment with what you're trying to begin will be cut away. So that's going to be our next check-in point, is going to be May 4th, 2025. Okay. All right. Right behind that, we've got Venus entering into the vibration of Virgo, and this all happens within the day. So Sunday vibrationally is a day where it's like, whoa, maybe take it a bit easy. But Venus moves into the vibration of Virgo. And as Venus gets into Virgo until August 29th, first of all, I just have to put it out there. Venus and Virgo can be, in Spain we say tiki-smeaky. It can be really picky. It can be particular. It can be a little bit more guarded when it comes to relationships, when it comes to showing love, when it comes to giving those affections and things like that. But the other version that I would really like you to call in is, remember that Venus is attracting in. So where is there a need for your medicine, for your Virgo in your life? There is a need to love something as perfectly as you can and as imperfectly as it is, right? You're just loving things and people right where it's at. It's very practical as well. Maybe the way you're loving your partnership is by helping your partner get that laundry done. Very practical things. Maybe you're loving you don't have a partner, you're loving yourself by making sure that your home is tidy, making sure you have an anti-inflammatory diet because you want to love into your life the best things that you can. What makes you feel like you're being of service to yourself and to others? And not servitude, but of service, where you're really caring for, nurturing, loving as purely as you can, valuing, harmonizing as purely as you can under this Venus vibration. Are you being a steward to your money, right? What would be the most caring thing to do with your finances right now? And sometimes Virgo is an earth energy, but it's a mutable earth energy. So sometimes during the season of Venus, we find out we've got a flow of finances that is not coming to us. There's a clog in our flow hose, right? So you may have to look at, do I need to change directions with something that I'm doing? Or do I need to click the kaleidoscope of my perspective so I can see how money flows to me? I'm telling you, just come take the YouTube class. You have something to talk about. People want to hear your medicine. Please come take the class or build whatever it is that you're building, okay? Now, right behind that, where we're getting all excited to do this adjustment, we have a helper. Mercury is going to step into its retrograde in the vibration of Virgo. Love this. Now, Mercury moved into its pre-retrograde shadow time on July 16th, okay? And this was at 21 degrees of Leo. So between July 16th and now, where we see Mercury going retrograde at 4 degrees of Virgo, what are you reviewing? What came into your space? What came into your attention? What documents did you sign? What did you write in your journal? What was showing up in your YouTube history? What was happening at that time that had a lot to do with your expression and letting it be the very best that it could be? Because now, as Mercury is going to take this retrograde, it'll be in retrograde all the way until August 29th. So we're just going to finish the month with it, where it will get back to that 21 degrees of Leo. But then we'll finish post-retrograde shadow time September 11th, when we see that Mercury gets back to its speed and gets back to 4 degrees of Virgo and is going to move forward. So, during Mercury retrograde, we absolutely don't go hide under rocks. First of all, if you have Mercury retrograde in your chart, whether it's your natal chart, your progress chart, your solar return chart, but particularly I would love for you to look at your natal chart. If you have Mercury retrograde in your chart, this is you. This is it. This is it. We're all running back in and all of you guys are running out, right? You can make those decisions. You can have those conversations, these things you've been thinking about. It's been percolating for a very long time. This is your time. You got 3 weeks to come out, share your story, share the things you need to say, make some decisions. The rest of us that don't have Mercury retrograde in our natal charts, we're running back in. We need to rethink. We need to revise. We need to re-edit. We need to reconsider. Venus is now in Virgo, a Mercury ruled sign as well. So we're thinking about, what do I need to renegotiate something? Do I need to renegotiate my finances? Do I need to renegotiate a contract in my life? Do I need to renegotiate a better working schedule for myself? Depending on the house that this is happening in for you will be where Mercury retrograde is going to help you do your rethinking, re-editing, reconnecting, revising, and re-caring for yourself in this particular area. And I would just say, I think it's really important around Mercury retrogrades for everybody, no matter which direction your Mercury is going, back up your computers, back up your phones, back up all your technical devices, because things get a little weird as Mercury is moving towards its stationing time. Plus, we're amping that up with the new moon energy as well. So this week, I would definitely put those things in place just to save yourself some hassle. Okay. All right, beautiful friends. I hope you have a gorgeous week. If you need some one-on-one time with me and I can help you through any kind of transitions, or if you are living against the season of your life and things are getting pretty painful, definitely reach out for a little bit of guidance. And if you're not sure if you're living against the season of your life, make sure you check out what progressed lunar phase you are in right now. And you can go over to places like Spark Astrology, or just look it up online, find out what season of your life you're in, see if you're living in time and in tempo with the energy that's around you. And if you need a little bit more help, you want to learn more, you can definitely check out my lunar phases classes. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to put the lunar return video here, and I'm also going to put another video over here so you can check one of these out to make sure you keep your astro information going. All right. I love you guys, and I will see you next week where I have a really cool, pretty big announcement about what's coming in 2025. So I'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.